Guys, welcome to the In Entrepreneurs We Trust podcast. I'm Daniel Stoichev, and today we have a very special guest, Paul Bernard Jaroslawski, founder of FreightCaviar Media Company, focusing on the logistics space. Paul built FreightCaviar from a humble broker meme page on social media to a full-blown media empire with podcasts, doing interviews with top leaders, companies, and entrepreneurs in the space, creating documentaries, breaking top news and trends in the industry, and working with top sponsors in the game. And now he's launching another part of FreightCaviar, which I'm excited to talk about, but we'll save that for Paul to talk more in depth and break the news. So, Paul, how are you? Thank you for joining me.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Daniel. I've had a very busy last month. It's been probably the busiest month in my life, but it's also been like the most exciting month with a lot of projects and just moving forward with a lot of things. So it's been amazing. I just have all this energy, and I'm excited to share with your audience a little bit of what I've learned.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me and obviously taking time out of your busy schedule. I know we've got a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it. Take us back to before FreightCaviar. A lot of the audience obviously probably hasn't heard about FreightCaviar or is not in the logistics space. So let's start with who you are, what led you into the logistics space in general, and then kind of, we'll go into FreightCaviar along your journey.
Sure. I'm first generation Polish American. I was born in Chicago in 1993. My mom ended up like moving me to live with my grandparents when I was 10 months old in Poland for a couple of years. I don't remember these years, but I know they had a strong impact on me as a person because I currently live in Poland. So I ended up going back to the States, started preschool, then I graduated college. Like I graduated the University of Illinois, and this was in 2015. So exactly 10 years ago, I graduated college, and I had a psychology degree, bachelor's in psychology. And so like I didn't want to continue going to college. It was just kind of a crazy time for me. I wanted to actually get a job and make some money. I didn't want to take any more student debt
Yep.
or take any more loans out. And at the career fair, I ran into my fraternity brother. His dad owned a brokerage in Lincolnwood, Illinois, by the name of Trek Freight Services. And he was like, "You should come work for my dad." And since he was my fraternity brother, it was an easy job, sorry, not easy job. It was an easy interview. I got the job. It was the only job offer I had at the time, and so I took it right away. I'm like, it paid $33,000 a year, no commission for 6 months, and I was super excited. I'm like, hey, finally I'll make some money. And like the first year, I ended up just learning how to be a broker. This was 2015 to 2016. I, came into the industry without knowing what a freight broker was and why they even existed to, learning more about it. I was there for a year, and I honestly just thought it was kind of toxic. Not only was like dealing with stressful load situations,
Yep.
dealing with some shady carriers. One of the advantages for myself at the company was I was the only carrier rep that spoke Polish. And, Daniel, there's a lot of Polish trucking companies in the Chicagoland
Absolutely.
area. I had this I don't know, goal of just like contacting every Polish company. I would call these trucking companies and I'd be like, "Oh, do you speak Polish? Are you Polish?" And like I would create a Google Doc and I would have it all listed out who spoke Polish, and I built relationships
Which
with
is
all of them.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, it helped me tremendously, and it's funny because like when I was younger, I went to Polish school on Saturdays, and I hated it because I was like, always having to wake up early on a Saturday. All my friends were sleeping in, and my mom would have to drive me to Polish school for like 3.5 hours, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I absolutely hate it. And then I realized when I was at this job, I'm like, wow, like this is so valuable for me, like that I speak Polish. Like it's helping me make more
Hindsight
money.
always, yeah.
Yeah, it's helping me make more money, and it's actually beneficial, and it's cool because I get to like speak. When you're booking like freight or you're doing any kind of business, if you're able to speak the native tongue, it's so much easier to do business. You're a lot more honest. You're able to get better rates, and so it helped. Like I was able to get all these carriers in my name, but like there was a lot of situations I just didn't like. I ended up making like I think 40K, maybe like 50K, like max the first year. And this was like grinding. This was like working, like stressing out. And honestly, I was like, all right, if this is like how much I'm making after like getting a college degree, I might as well go do my master's in psychology or something, so I could like at least level up and like
Yep.
not having to like like be so stressed and like in a toxic environment and make only that much. So I ended up leaving. I quit after a whole year. I worked there for a year. I quit, and I traveled the world for 6 months. My father worked for an airline at O'Hare Airport, and he had these flying privileges, and I was able to utilize them until 24, the age of 24. I was 22 at the time, so I was like, all right, I could go travel the world. I had 5K saved up in my bank account, so I didn't have a lot, but I also became an Uber driver on the side just to save up some more money. Uber was paying like $30 an hour back then, just because they were trying to get as many drivers on the
Yep,
road,
yep.
and so it was quite easy. But I ended up traveling the world for a little bit, and I come home. This is January 2016, and I have $35 in my bank account, and I'm like, all right, like the whole idea of going to go do my master's, I need to like sideline that because I need to make some money ASAP. My parents like live paycheck to paycheck. Like, you know, we grew up in like a lower middle class environment. Like it wasn't easy because like my father's job didn't pay well. My mom didn't really work. There was 4 kids. Like we lived in a small condo. Like lots to be grateful for. Obviously, like especially when I travel the world, I'm like, yo, my life's amazing. Like even though like when I compared to my lives, like my friends, like it always seemed like we had less in the States per se. But obviously, I'd come to Poland and everyone would be like, yo, who's this American? You
You're
know,
the
like
king. Yeah,
the
of
king,
course.
exactly,
Always.
exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
But you know, like I couldn't rely on my parents to like fund it or anything. I had $35 in my bank account. Like my parents had no money to give me, so I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I have to go work. And so I reached out to CS Recruiting. CS Recruiting is this recruiting company in logistics. So if anyone's listening and they're interested in getting logistics, or if they have some logistics experience and they want to get a new job, CS Recruiting is a great company to reach out to. They'll connect you with a lot of companies that are looking to hire in logistics industry. And I reached out to CS because I had a girl I used to work with there, and she got me 4 interviews in 1 week, and all 4
Wow.
interviews led to job offers. So I had 4 job offers. Literally, like, I come home, I'm broke, $35 in my bank account. In 1 week, I have 4 job offers, and I ended up choosing Everest Transportation Systems. It was like the small brokerage in Evanston, Illinois, and it was like Eastern European owners. I just, you know, it was a cool vibe. Like I could get along with
What
them, and
country were they from? Do you remember?
so yeah, so Lev and Jake they're from Russia, and they have like Lev's ex-wife was Ukrainian, and they had already like 4 people in Ukraine. And Lev was
Okay.
like, we're talking during a job interview. I was like telling how I was telling Lev like how I want to move, I want to open up an office in Poland. I was like the whole idea. I was like, yo, like if you could send me, like I'm all in on this job. And then like Lev's idea was to build a Ukrainian office because you already have 4 people there. And like, you know, I ended up taking the job, and like a few months later, Lev calls me. He's like, Paul, will you move to Ukraine? And so like, I'm like, dude, like,
What a
yeah,
proposition. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, I'm in. This was 2017. I'm single. You know, I just started making some okay money. Like I'm still living with my parents, but I'm like, hey, like I'm 24. Like I'm all in. I'm moving to Ukraine, like running an office for you. Like this is like a dream, you know, if anything. I've always wanted to live in Poland. So like Ukraine's right next door. You know, back then there wasn't a war in Kiev.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's still safe. And I ended up moving in 2017 to Kiev, to Ukraine. And I was there for 3 years. I built up an office for them. We went from 4 individuals to 100 within 3 years. And then during the pandemic, I just kind of got like, there was a crazy market. It was super stressful, and I just got like burnt out. I had good money saved up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to quit, and I'm going to move to Poland. And so in November of 2020, exactly like 5 years ago, I moved to Poland. Ended up opening up a restaurant because me and my like childhood friend from Poland like always thought about like opening up a restaurant. Terrible idea. Never opened up a restaurant. Restaurant business is
Yeah.
awful. Like closed that down after a year and a half.
What kind of food was it? Polish food or was
No,
it?
it was American food. We had American pizza and burgers, and we actually like revenue wise we did very well, but it was just it was open during a chaotic time when inflation was out of control, energy prices were out of control because of the war in Ukraine that started. Like we like, and then like all these like even like the nuances of like doing business in Poland, like it was just so complicated. And we had a lot of revenue, but I was still bleeding cash every month because after like the like, you know, like doing all the books and like the accounting, like there was like, oh, you still have to pay like X amount of like taxes, and it just was like it was just such a mess, you know. And I'm like, lesson learned. I gotta pull out of this. Like, I'm just gonna shut this down before like I bleed more money.
Yeah,
And
of
I didn't
course.
even like it,
Sinking
you know.
ship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I could have, if I wanted to spend time on it, I could have cleaned it all up. I could have probably ended up making like a couple $1,000s a month out of it. But it's like I know that would have like distracted me from what I actually wanted to do, and like the potential for it wasn't that much. And I also am like after opening and running a restaurant, I'm like I don't want to do this. Like this is like this is not fun, you know. Like if you're an entrepreneur, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you want to do things that like excite you,
Of
and that's what I'm
course.
doing right now, you know. And like I have a lot of energy. Like we're doing a lot, like I wake up, like, I don't need any motivation right now. Like this, I'm just having a good time. And I think entrepreneurs should gravitate towards those things. Although like there is probably this conception and a lot of people fall into it. It's like, I'm going to just figure out like, where's the money, and I'm going to do whatever. Like, you got to obviously make money as an entrepreneur, but I feel like if you lead with excitement, you're actually going to you're going to end up making more money in the long run. It might take longer for you to set up and like become profitable, but like if you lead with excitement, like there's, at the end of the day, like what a business is, it's solving problems, and the world has countless problems. There's honestly, and then there's countless ideas for businesses. There's so many strange small businesses that exist that you probably would have never known existed because of the fact that like the people have problems. Like I work with a lot of companies that we work with, and I'm like, like you need a detailed approach to specific things. It's interesting when you actually like are in the business world, and you start like seeing what's out there. Like you should definitely just do what excites you at the end of the day. But yeah, I shut down the restaurant. I what else did I do? I had like a brokerage. I had 2 brokerages. I shut both of them down.
Brokerages that you started that were your own, or brokerages you worked for?
Yeah. So first brokerage I started with this Polish trucking company owner in Chicago. It was called Bang Bang Freight, BBF. That was the name. And the reason why it was called Bang Bang Freight was because a guy at Everest, every time we booked a load, he would say bang bang, and so we called it Bang Bang Freight. We had like first month we did $50K in revenue. We made a couple $1,000s. It wasn't bad. It just was like honestly, what's funny is like I was a freight broker and I was working at this Everest, and like we're a growing company. I see how much money they're making, all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, hey, this is not that difficult. I could do this, So I'm like, I'm going to start my own.
It's
brokerage.
tedious. It's a lot of hustle, but yeah, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, but doing the actual work, like from A to Z, which is like, first of all, like getting a customer, getting a truck with no credit score, paying them up front, then paying them, when they deliver, getting invoicing the customer, getting all that sucks. And then I'm like in this office, I quit my job. I rented this like small little office, and I'm working there, and I'm like, damn, I like literally this sucks. I don't know what I'm like. I don't want to be doing this. This is not fun.
You're forcing yourself. Yeah.
I honestly spent most of the day just making memes on Instagram. So that's what I did.
Which is where FreightCaviar was born, I'm sure, right?
Exactly. I couldn't focus on, I feel like I'm very fortunate because like, like this isn't like a story that I think most people like have like the privilege of saying. And I feel like very like lucky in this sense because like I wasn't planning any of this stuff. Like from the point of view, like I was just making funny memes because I was distracted. I have like ADHD. So like I easily get distracted. I'm like easy on my phone, social media, whatever. Like this is fun. This is like, good for my brain, even though it's not, but like it was just something to like do. And I ended up growing that audience to like 10,000 followers on Instagram in 10 months. And then like a company, actually, I have their phone holder here, Text Locate, reached out to me. Ryan Rogers did. And he was just starting Text Locate in 2021. And he was like, Paul, like, would you be able to market my company on your Instagram page? And I hit up Ryan. I'm like, we get on a Google Meets call, and like I could see he's a good guy. He's like he's a little bit older. He's like 25 years older than me, but he's been in the logistics industry for a long time. He's from Chattanooga. He started Text Locate, and like I'm like, damn, this is like a good guy I could like actually like learn from. And so I was like, Ryan, like if you could like help like mentor me, because like he also saw like what FreightCaviar was doing. I wasn't there to making money, but he saw like the impact and influence it could have. And even for his small like startup, he was like, oh, I need to get my brand visibility through FreightCaviar because it's a very concentrated audience of freight brokers and carriers. And so I was like, Ryan, like if you could mentor me, if you could help me out, I'll advertise your company for free. So we ended up doing that for a few months. I ended up like expanding into LinkedIn. And during this time period, I was like, okay, like this is something I was actually thinking about back when I was a broker. I was reading the Morning Brew newsletter every morning. It was a newsletter that like you get like the financial main world news topics all in your
that
newsletter.
Blew up. I mean, that just set a trend. And
exactly, it blew up. And I was looking at that and I was like thinking like, damn, like it'd be nice to have that, but for logistics. So then like I was like at this point I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just be focused on the newsletter. And like the idea is like, okay, like the social media content will get people to subscribe to the newsletter. And I had this like expectation that like, oh, I'm gonna launch a newsletter, I'm gonna get thousands of signups. If I have 10,000 Instagram followers, I'm sure I'll get like 1,000 signups like this. But that's not true. It takes a lot more work for people to get signed up to the newsletter. We have 14,000 subscribers, 14,500. So like, it's going well and it's growing. It's slower growth because on Instagram we're like at 44 or 45. On LinkedIn, I think we're like at 76,000, 77,000. But then I started the newsletter and a podcast simultaneously, and I know I've been talking for like 20 minutes now, but
I love it. No, I mean, this is why we're here. Not for me to talk. Yeah.
But what's been cool is like I just been following what excites me, and I think that's one of the main, I guess,
it's important.
reasons. One of the reasons why you become an entrepreneur is like you're able to do what excites you. And I got this idea when I was in May. I was in Eindhoven, Netherlands. One of our sponsors who works in the EU market and the US market, they're based out of there. I was visiting them, and I was like in my hotel room, and I was thinking, I'm like, man, I need to start a print magazine. And so I've been thinking about print magazine like ever since May. So it's been over half a year. And then in October, I'm like, because we were thinking, okay, maybe in like 2026 we'll launch the magazine.
Yep.
Because we need to get everything set up. We need to like, make sure that we're ready for it. And then I was like doing my morning meditation. I do morning meditation every day for like 30 minutes. It's helped me a lot too in many ways. But I was thinking about it. I'm like, no, like we have to do it now, and we have to like get it out in December. Like this is, and so like
it's never gonna be the perfect time. Yeah,
it's 100%. There's never a perfect time. Exactly, and like you could pre-plan everything. It's like there's no perfect time. And I just was like, I woke up, I did my meditation, I got on a team call. I'm like, hey, everyone, like we're launching this magazine in December, and everyone's kind of like shocked. Like, Paul, like, are you sure? Like, it's like a month and a half away. Like we have nothing ready. We don't even know how to print. We don't even know how to make a magazine. Like nothing. We don't have a designer to make the magazine. Nothing. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. And it's interesting when you're working under pressure, and I haven't felt like this kind of pressure ever before in my life because I haven't started such a big project in my life. Like everything I did with the newsletter, podcast, like it's not like you don't like have that much pressure. It's like, okay, like shit, like it doesn't go out, we'll push it out tomorrow. Or if it does go out, okay, it's out, not a big deal. Now it's like, all right, we have paying subscribers. We promised them the print magazine.
The pressure's real. Yeah.
The pressure's real. Like we're marketing it every day on LinkedIn and socials. Like people are like hearing us talk about it. Like we need to deliver. There's people are expecting a lot, and we need to deliver it. So
how many total subscribers before? So when are you guys launching officially? When is the launch date of the magazine?
So I'm picking up the print copies on Thursday in Warsaw.
How many copies?
I'm printing 1,000 copies. So
you're flying with the copies?
I'm flying with the copies. Yeah, I'm flying with 1,000. Oh, I'm gonna be flying
with like suitcase or what?
No, I'm just checking in boxes. I'm gonna have like 8 boxes checked in with 100 magazines each.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So before you guys launched, because I remember I was one of the first subscribers to the magazine. Yeah. How many do you guys have right now?
We're at 150.
150? Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about a little bit about the magazine, and I want to go back to some questions. What does it look like? What are we to expect? What's going to be the focus? What would you compare it to? Are you going to have interviews in there? Obviously, you're going to have sponsorships, but what is it? What does it look? Give us a little sneak peek.
Yeah. So I think the inspiration behind the magazine is to like provide this like, because I'm going to take it back actually real quick. When you're in logistics, whether it doesn't matter which position you're at, you could be a broker, you could be a carrier in carrier sales or dispatcher, whatever, owner of a trucking company, owner of a brokerage, like you're dealing with a lot of stressful situations on a daily basis. And like
absolutely,
you get bogged down, you get like tied down into the situation that like, like really could be toxic, stressful. Like you're trying to like after work kind of wind down and like kind of forget about it, and I think you kind of lose perspective on how like big this industry is and how actually like cool it is at the same time. Like logistics is everywhere. Logistics is everything. Logistics has existed since the beginning of time, because all it is moving something from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
And I think that because of that, like I want to highlight stories that kind of like, first of all, like open like your horizons on this industry, because like this industry is so big and there's so many moving pieces. So like, for example, like the first story in the magazine is about OBC, which is onboard courier. And you were just asking me, Daniel, how am I traveling with these magazines from Warsaw to Atlanta? And the reason I'm able to, like, or at least I know what I'm doing here, is because in the beginning of this year, I interviewed the founder of OBC1, Jonathan Culp. He was on our live show, Freight Gong Friday, and his specific niche in the industry, and I always mispronounce that, niche or niche, but
Niche. Yeah, it's okay.
Niche in the industry is literally like he does emergency deliveries of like parts, or it could be medical equipment or anything that has to get somewhere ASAP. And like the surest way of it getting ASAP is to give it to an individual, and that individual flies with it to like whatever destination it is.
So
Right.
sort of like a mule, right? The drug mule
Well,
in
everyone
modern day.
thinks, it's like, oh, are you transporting drugs? But it's like, for example, like I did 3 trips this year, because after our call in January, I'm like, hey, Jonathan, if you need anyone in Warsaw, like I'm your guy, hit me up. So
Yep.
in March, he hit me up, and there was automotive parts going from Warsaw to El Paso, Texas, and they had to go to a factory, automotive parts, and like if an automotive factory shuts down, they're losing 6 figures an hour. Like they will pay
Wow.
anything to get that part fix or whatever they need in order to get that line moving. So I flew to El Paso, Texas for like a real quick trip, dropped off the parts. And when I was there, I visited one trucking company called Mesilla Valley Transportation. And this is all coincidental. They were celebrating their driver's 91st birthday.
Wow.
Like one of the
Holy
oldest
crap.
truck drivers in the world. And we got to do an interview with him. So that's also part of the magazine.
That's
It's
awesome,
the interview
man.
I did with the 91-year-old truck driver. Amazing guy. Like just freaking amazing. He's actually on the cover of the magazine. This is not the actual magazine. This is just like a
That's the
printout.
guy. Yeah, I
This
saw
is
that.
the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Luther Binford, 91-year-old trucker, one of the oldest truckers in the world. But that trip to El Paso is because of the onboard courier trip. And so, and then in March, at the end of March, Jonathan calls me. I have like 10 missed phone calls. I wake up at 6 a.m. He's like, Paul, we have a trip. This is airplane parts. An airplane broke down in Palau. It's an island west of the Philippines. It's an island of 17,000 people. It's in the Pacific Ocean. It's like beautiful. It looks like Hawaii, right? It's a small little island. And he's like, Paul, I've never seen anything like this before. Anything going to Palau. I've been in this industry for 10 years. If you want it, it's all yours, but you need to tell me now if you could fly, because you have to fly to Frankfurt to pick up the automotive parts or airplane parts, and then fly to Palau through Taiwan. And so I did it. I actually ended up flying all the way to Palau, and I delivered these airplane parts. So that's part of the magazine, like the whole story behind it, the logistics of that.
That's cool, man. I'm excited to read it.
Yeah. And then, this is, I actually omitted this from the magazine, but what was crazy was I was flying back from Palau to Poland. I was flying through Taiwan, and I land in Taiwan, and Jonathan calls me. Like as soon as I land, he like was tracking my flight. I land, he calls me. He's like, Paul, in 2 days, we have a shipment from Japan going to Warsaw. If you want, we could fly you to Japan. You stay there for a day and a half, and then you fly from Japan and Warsaw. And they're like paying me.
All of this paid, right?
All is paid. All is paid. I'm like, yeah, dude, like send me, like, of course, like just do it. And so I ended up going to Japan, and like I had 3 OBC trips. It's just great. Like for anyone that's interested in doing this, by the way, like there's a whole network of agents. Like what they typically do is like, this is something similar to like freight brokering. It's like, okay, like if I have a load, if there's 2 options, either like I know a carrier that will take it and I just call them up and I give it to them right away, or B, I post it on DAT because I don't have a carrier. I don't know someone. So they have their own posting network. It's just through WhatsApp. It's a group on WhatsApp. And when they don't have, like, let's just say like they have a shipment going from Warsaw, they'll first contact me before posting it on the board or whatever, because they want me to take it. I'm their preferred mule.
Preferred carrier. Yeah.
Preferred carrier. Yeah. But if they don't have anyone, then they'll post it on the WhatsApp channel. And so like, if you're interested in doing something like this, you could sign up, and like you got to fill out a questionnaire of like, what's the closest airport to you? Do you have any experience doing this? It's quite simple, but you have to do a lot of you're dealing with, you have to go through customs. That's the thing. Like I have to take the package. I have to go through customs. I have to show them the BOL. I have to show them like the rate, not the rate confirmation, but like all of the documents.
That's
so
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like there's like those stories, and then we have a few more stories. I'm not sure if I should talk about all of them, but
don't talk. Save the good stuff.
Yeah, it's a comprehensive look of like the logistics ecosystem in the world, and I think it just makes people more excited about the industry and what it actually has to offer. So that's the goal behind it.
No, I'm excited for the magazine. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I love still when I go to the grocery store, Barnes and Noble, I go and check out the magazines, right? Whether it's business, whether it's traveling. And I think a lot of these things that were trends back in the day are making a comeback, especially with something as an industry as logistics. People can subscribe, have them in the office. Truckers can wait around, see them. So I think it's a good first step. Good step, obviously, to branch off into. I want to ask you a little bit more, obviously, about the beginning of FreightCaviar. When did you, obviously, you started out of boredom, right? Which is awesome.
Yeah.
and then it spun into this growing business. When was that aha moment where you knew like, hey, I can make money from this? Obviously you started making money, I'm sure, with the first couple sponsors. But when were you, hey, I'm taking this full force? And then when did you leave any other business you were doing or any other kind of income you had and solely rely from Freight Caviar?
Yeah, that's a good question because it's been kind of like, I guess, a little bit of a roller coaster to get to where I'm at right now. Like I mentioned, I had two brokerages, one with a partner from Chicago,
Yep.
one with a partner from Atlanta. And so the first brokerage, I just was we had a little bit of traction going, and then this other person reached out from Atlanta, which I could just tell was more sophisticated and could help me probably build a brokerage quicker and probably better, just because
Sure.
of her experience and stuff, and because of her also capital. And so I ended up like leaving the first brokerage. We kind of just shut it down. We decided to shut
Yeah.
it down, and then ended up working as a second brokerage called Beacons Guard. This was, I think, like late 2021. So FreightCaviar already had like 10,000 followers. We already had like working with Text Locate. I actually got a shipper, well, more like it was a company out of Laredo, Texas, and they're a carrier. So they would do Mexico, US like loads, but they would oftentimes bring loads from Mexico to Laredo. And then because of like capacity issues, they would need to broker some of the Laredo to like
Sure.
the final destination out. And that was through FreightCaviar Instagram page. The guy reached out to me and he was like,
Wow.
"Can you help me out?" It wasn't high margin. We'd make like maybe
Sure.
$100 every so often. It was actually a lot more work than making any money. But it was just kind of interesting to actually see like, wow, like you could actually get business from Instagram. This was before like Arlington was like doing well. But and then like I had another knee surgery in November of 2021. And I was like in bed for like all of November, all of December, just like kind of like in bed. And I was like thinking like how much I hate this brokerage stuff. It just drives me nuts. Like, and like, it's just
Yeah.
like it just wasn't exciting for me. And I'm like thinking to myself, like I also was talking to like my old boss, and he was like telling me like, "Yo, Paul, you could do a lot more with this." I was talking to Ryan Rogers from Text Locate, like this could be something that could be like legit. And so like at the end of December of 2021, I told my business partner in Atlanta and my other partner, because there's three of us, I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna step away. Y'all, both of you could do what you're gonna do. Like, if you want to
Good
continue
luck.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, like, like I won't obviously take any equity, like whatever, like we could close the doors here." And so I walked away. And then like, so I like for 2 months I was on my own. And then in February of 2022, I got two job offers in one day. And it was funny because I didn't apply to any jobs. Two companies approached me and wanted to hire me because of like the traction FreightCaviar was getting on LinkedIn. One of those was FreightWaves. FreightWaves offered me a job. And then another one was this company called Warp, which was like this new kind of digital broker doing like kind of LTL kind of stuff. And I ended up like they gave me a good offer with like equity and like, they're venture capital backed, and they're like, "You will fly you out to LA because they're based in LA, and we'll like do all this cool stuff." I'm like, this sounds pretty freaking cool. Like, I was making like 1K a month from like one sponsor at FreightCaviar. So I'm like, hey, like they're going to pay me a lot, nice salary. They'll take care of me, like, healthcare, all this stuff. I agreed to that. And this was February 2022. And like, honestly, like I was head of marketing at a company with no marketing experience and with no desire to do any marketing for them. I just wanted to do FreightCaviar. That's all I wanted to do, and like, and after a few months, it kind of fizzled out. And so I think even like in May 2022, we kind of just like, we split ways, like, and we started working a little bit like B2B, where they were just paying for some sponsored stuff on
Yeah.
FreightCaviar. That relationship dynamic made so much more sense. And that's when I went to like full in on FreightCaviar, to basically just, yeah.
How are you? So, you've got obviously the podcast, you've got newsletter, you've got the website. How big is your team? Obviously, it's not just you at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we work with some contractors. We have some people on our team. Like, I mean, right now, I would say like we're like at around 10 people. Like,
Awesome.
and we're mostly based in Poland. So, but we have a couple people in the States as well. But more like on the part time side in the States.
Have you
So
ever thought about giving this up? Just, hey, this is not working out. Obviously, when I spoke to you the first time,
yeah.
which was actually my first podcast, I think that I ever got interviewed on, back in, was it 2020 or 29? Yeah, 2020, 2020,
No, it was
2021,
it was 2022.
2022.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
pretty fairly
It was,
recently, but
if I'm not mistaken, it was September of 2022.
well, yeah, I don't remember. Awesome. Good, good. So when you interviewed me, Obviously that was also sort of in the beginning of your journey. From then till now, have you ever thought about, I don't know if this is going to work out, or has it been just super energetic, super motivated? This is going to work out.
That's a good question. So honestly, like speaking, like before the magazine, before like this
Yeah.
whole idea of like the magazine and actually the office, 'cause I opened up an office here in Poland in October. I was like, I had like 6 months where honestly, like I was barely working. I was just coasting. Like we have a team, so I was like, I wasn't excited. Like I had like last year where I got back on my ADHD meds, which was just bad idea because like it's good. It's maybe you have a few days and then all of a sudden you start relying on them and then all of a sudden like you can't do anything without them. And then it's just terrible. It's terrible for your brain. And like for me, I'm like, I'm like high energy. I
Yeah.
have a lot of ideas. Like that medication was just awful for me. And I felt at that time I needed it to stay focused and to build a company, but boy, was I wrong. Like it just messes up your brain chemically, like in a way. And so like 2024 was a bad year for me, like from that point of view, where like I was just like the medication was bad for me, so I got off of the medication. And then like this year, I've been working with this mind and body coach. Every Thursday, we have a call. We kind of go over like my diet. We kind of go over he's helped me like with my meditation routine. Like I meditate every day in the morning and before I go to bed. I do stretching. I have a better diet. Although the last month's been pretty bad just because of all the work and just kind of being all over the place. But
The
but
stress gets to you, of course.
yeah, I mean, I don't actually eat that much. I'm not usually hungry. I just when I do eat, it's not that good. You know, like
Of
today I
course.
had
Yep.
McDonald's for
Yep.
lunch. I mean, but I had it with
Which is
I
better than Polish McDonald's. I'm sure is better than here in the
oh
US.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But like this year, like it started off like my grandfather passed away January 4th, and my grandfather was like the closest person I've ever been to
Sorry to hear that,
like
man.
I mean it's part of life, but it's the first time I went through like a grieving process, you know. So my 2024 25 started with like, okay, I'm cutting off my ADHD medication. I'm starting with the mind and body coach. My grandfather dies and like all of a sudden and then like I actually well, I'm not gonna get into that. My life was really like there's a lot of stuff going on. I was traveling a lot. It was really chaotic. And now like I feel like right now I'm in like the best place I have been mentally I probably ever in my life before. A lot of it has to do because I limited my travel. I like currently live with my grandma, so I take care of my grandma too, and she's been a lot.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, she's amazing. I love her, and she's kind of helped me stay grounded because I can't really travel so much. I can't, you know, I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke weed anymore. I don't take the ADHD medication
Anymore.
anymore. Yeah,
Anymore, right?
yeah, anymore. So like, and like since October, especially with the magazine launch, it's like rejuvenated me. And one of the things with me, like, is like I get bored easily. Like, you know, like the newsletter, podcast, stuff like that. I've just been like, I was getting bored of it. Like, I'm like, I need something new. I need something exciting. And like, and this is what the magazine has brought me. And I am so ready. Like, 2026 is gonna be the best year for FreightCaviar. Like, and for me personally, I know it. Like, we are gearing up for such a big 2026. I'm making all the investments right now. I'm buying gear. Like we're like next month, this is gonna be like a complete studio for FreightCaviar. I'm painting the walls black, soundproofing it. Like we're leveling up in so many ways. And with the print magazine, I've never been more excited, Daniel, my whole entire life. Like, and I just see everything clearly coming together. And a lot of it is just like thanks to God. You know, I pray every day. I go to church now every Sunday. You know, I'm a man of God. I meditate as well. I stay calm. I try to stay calm, although like I'm very high energy. But like I just
It's
feel like
good.
all
It's
the
good. Yeah.
yeah, like I used to live in this chaos, and now like I live in kind of like chaos, but like in a good way.
Controlled chaos.
Yeah, everything's coming together, and I'm very excited. And to your point, like in 2024 and like most of 2025, I was like just like hoping someone could like just be like, Paul, like, hey, can we buy you out or something, and I could just move on. But now I'm like, I don't. I right now
Well, you
I don't
should have
want to
called
sell
me,
it.
Paul.
I don't
You
want to
should have
ever
called.
sell it. I don't want to ever sell it. You know, that's the thing.
No, it's a roller coaster, right, man? I mean,
Yeah,
any business is,
it is.
when I've talked to other entrepreneurs and obviously myself with different businesses, up and down, up and down. There's moments where, F this, you want to give up. But
Yeah,
I was just reading a book, it's Dr. Sunil Sachs, it's called Taking Massive Action. And it talks about this like, hey, don't look at things for, hey, this situation makes me want to quit. It's like, why are you doing this, right?
yeah,
It's 1 year, it's 2 years, it's a 5-year plan where if you give up, you're not going to know what's at the end.
sure.
I'm sure you're glad you didn't give up or sell it. And I'm sure your audience and everyone else out there is glad as well. So outside of the magazine, what else should we expect from Freight Caviar in 2026? So you're building out the studio.
Yep.
Is there going to be just, X of everything we're seeing now, or is there something that you can talk about that's going to be, hey, this is groundbreaking that we're doing this year?
Sure. So the North Star of our company right now is the magazine. So like everything is
Okay.
concentrated. Like okay, like we have to focus on the magazine. The magazine has to be like top. Like it is where we're gonna be driving sales, and like all of our content is concentrated on the magazine itself. And then we have the documentaries. So we're also filming documentaries. I'll be filming a documentary next week in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Atlanta. Chattanooga is like this big freight hub and that's been built out over the last few years. Atlanta is too. So we're filming a documentary, and those will be actually the feature stories in the next edition, which comes out in March 2026 of the magazine. We're gonna have like a full magazine about Freight Alley. We're still in
Yeah.
planning phases of it all, but so we have our magazine, our documentaries, and then like our social media content. And I think what you're gonna see now is just like better quality, or yeah, higher quality content, and more concentrated, like more original FreightCaviar content is the goal. And also just like our website's going to get redesigned. So starting next month, or you're going to have a different website, a different design of the newsletter. So we're investing a lot into that. And then the studio here as well. I'll have like the weekly podcast, but live from here. Like a really like I bought like some nice cameras for on Black Friday, and yeah, just taking it to the next level on all aspects of what we do. Office has helped so much because now we're coming in the office, we're talking it through, we're planning stuff out, and that changed everything. I think for us, we wouldn't be able to do the magazine without the office.
Yeah, you got to be around your team. Me running a couple businesses, it's virtually, it's sometimes it's difficult, right? You're not
Yeah,
next to each other. You're not sharing ideas that are in person, so it can get tough. And
sure.
I think it's a good move for Freight Caviar. I want to ask you about a lot of your guests. So obviously, right now we have been in quite some time in a freight recession,
Yeah.
in a sort of pendulum of things. But what is everyone talking about? Where are things heading? There's bankruptcy after bankruptcy with trucking. Some of the biggest names in trucking companies that have been around for 50 plus years. Another company, 97-year-old company, recently shut down and filed for bankruptcy. What are you hearing? Who's optimistic? Who's pessimistic? Talk about that. I mean, obviously you touch, rub elbows with some of the biggest guys in the industry. What are you hearing? What can you share with us?
Yeah, so from the freight market perspective, I think right now, like the hot topic, or the topic that everyone talks about, is like the non-domicile CDLs and FMCSA's kind of like recent actions to kind of like limit, non-domicile CDLs, which make up, I don't know how much percent, but like I think like a few percentage points of the trucking market. So right now, there's been like I think an increase um, in freight, just because, or freight volumes, because of
Yep.
fewer drivers on the road, or drivers are afraid, especially if they're, let's say, illegal or non-domiciled. They're afraid to drive, or if they don't speak English well. Also with the English language proficiency tests that are coming out in some states, I think that it might change the market for drivers that are legal and not non-domiciled. But I know that there's a lot of carriers, especially in Chicago, that are kind of like, worried because a lot of their drivers are non-domiciled. They don't even know, like, so in a way, I don't think the volumes will change much, because there's either two ways the freight market goes up. The volumes increase, so there's more freight, everyone
Yep.
wins, or capacity exits the market, which is what's happening kind of right now. Bankruptcies, fewer drivers on the road. And I think the only way the market right now in 2026 and 2027 will improve is by a deduction or a reduction in the amount of capacity have that will increase rates for the truckers that are legal and English proficient. And so for them, the market's going to be better. And then for others, I think people are going to leave. Yeah,
Yeah.
where I'm at.
Sure, sure. I recently watched you did an interview. I forgot the company name, but there was two guys that I think started obviously AI freight agents, right? That's a
Yeah.
big push
Oh
in
yeah.
general in many industries, making its way into trucking as well. What are we expecting? I mean, there is brokers talking about, hey, we're going to be replaced. Some of them are saying, hey, no, these are just going to be AI assistants.
Yeah.
There's dispatchers worried about that. There's obviously, how is AI? What are you seeing? Where is AI going to fit into trucking, and what's the impact it's going to make over the next, 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, obviously, with where, how fast things are going.
Sure. I just talked to a CEO 2 weeks ago about this, and like AI is going to help the A players, like the employees that are like hard workers, smart, like they're just gonna help. It's gonna help them make more money.
Yep.
C players, potentially B players, they might lose their jobs, but that just also might be a motivation to kind of level up. Like I think people need to get hungrier. Like we tend to maybe get spoiled, or we kind of like get used to certain I don't know, like ways of living. It is relatively new, and people are afraid. Like even for example, like I use ChatGPT all the time, and I think it's extremely
Yeah,
powerful.
absolutely.
I yeah, and I know that that like people have to understand whichever job you're working at, like learn how to use AI and become comfortable with it, because at the end of the day, like AI does rely on also like human interaction. Like it doesn't just do everything by itself. It's not AI talking to AIs. Like when there are certain situations already in freight where an AI carrier does communicate with an AI broker and they could book freight, but that's like marginal. That's maybe 10% of the freight, maybe 20% of freight could be treated that way. A lot of freight still needs to have interactions between a human. So there's like most importantly, AI will not replace human relationships, right? Like
Of course. Yeah.
shippers will not just all of a sudden work with an AI broker or an AI carrier. Like they will most definitely work with a broker that uses AI
Yep.
and uses like that's for sure. And shippers and brokers and carriers need to make sure that they're, understanding what kind of AI exists and buying the AI that could actually help their company grow. So like if you're a carrier, broker, shipper, doesn't matter. Like you have to understand where is technology headed and how it can help your company. But at the end of the day, like I think people crave human relationships now more because of all this AI craziness, and like having a human
I agree.
talk on the
Yeah.
phone. Like, yeah, just because like nowadays, like I hear it all the time, like carriers get like calls from like AIs, and it drives people insane. Like, yeah, like to a certain extent, like, hey, if the AI is fast and I could book a load with it, like, yeah, I'll have an easy, quick conversation, get it over with. But when a problem arises, I don't expect AI to solve it, like,
Yeah.
or at least like maybe it could solve it, but like I still want a human to help me out with everything. So I think AI is something that people should be excited about, and I wouldn't be too worried. Like we're all gonna be fine. Like it's if you're worried it's gonna take your job, then learn some new skills.
Level up. Yeah.
Level up, exactly.
100%. I was just talking. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to in a different industry, a couple business owners, and they were saying, "Hey, we're too small to adopt AI." And we kind of had a conversation about that for trucking companies, brokers, even solo, let's say owner operators. What are some things if you can talk about that they could do to get into the AI space, or at least start adopting it, start learning about it? Obviously, they don't have millions of dollars to implement infrastructure and developers, but what about just common small carriers, owner operators, even individual brokers? How could they learn AI in the business and implement it now?
So there's so much money being thrown at AI. And I was in San Francisco in July, and every billboard is AI, and it's all AI
Of course.
specific,
Yeah.
like but to specific use cases. It's not like a broad AI. It's like AI for finance, AI for lawyers, AI for truckers, and like I think just being educated or Googling it or even asking ChatGPT what kind of AI could help me, I think is probably the right approach, because there's a lot of small AI companies out there that are probably low cost and probably could help your company in your specific use case. Just saying, I would first of all buy a ChatGPT subscription or buy whatever AI, Gemini or X or Grok, whatever AI you want to use. Buy a subscription, because I think it's valuable. Whatever, $20. Honestly, like I
Yeah.
think I pay
Yeah.
$20 for ChatGPT, but I think the amount of value it provides me is like worth easily like probably six figures or more per month. Because it's just like maybe not like, well, I wouldn't ever pay six figures for it, but like it just like I ask it for a lot of business advice, and like it's something that's been actually
Absolutely.
something that's been kind of cool. I've been doing this week, especially when like I'm like talking, because I'm investing in the company. I'm also changing up things at FreightCaviar. What I ask, I give it as much context as possible, because you want to give AI as much context as possible. So what I do is I actually just record my voice and I talk to ChatGPT. I dump my like mental like notes and whatever I have mentally into AI. And then I ask it to be brutally honest. And then I think this is key. Like if you ask ChatGPT or AI to be brutally honest, I think it gives you just such a better answer. and it literally has been giving me so much gold that I'm like, wow, if I had to go to like a super smart like business like leader or someone that has owned a media company and wants to grow, I would pay them so much money for this. And instead, I just have it all from ChatGPT, and it gives me a plan, it gives me a structure. And obviously, you want to like maybe like look at it and kind of decide for yourself what's
Yeah.
worth keeping. But I would definitely do that, and you could ask ChatGPT for any specific AI use cases for your company. Just give it as much context as possible, make it be brutally honest, and it'll give you a lot of good answers.
It's funny you mentioned. I just watched a video on LinkedIn. Maybe we watched the same video, but it was a girl talking about, hey, go into ChatGPT and said, hey, act like my worst critic. Don't sugarcoat anything. Don't give me what I want to hear. Tell me the
Yeah.
brutal truth. And I did that. I did that to my ChatGPT, and it's starting every time now. It's like, hey, here's the brutal, honest,
I love
no
that.
sugarcoat BS. And it's awesome because, I don't, and again, as this gets bigger and bigger and adopted by the masses, I could see a lot of problems, right? Like if it's giving you advice that, your mom's going to give you, your grandma, that might not, might be kind of sugarcoating it. You don't want that. So
Yeah.
that's funny you bring it up. I want to ask you some interesting, some funny stuff. What, any crazy experiences, anything that you can think of where you're like, hey, what the hell is going on, right? In your FreightCaviar journey, in your business journey, something that you want to share with us that you always remember that's been, let's put it in the category of crazy or out of this world.
Yeah, for sure. The main story that comes to mind is my trip to Armenia, back in 2011, November 2011. Like, my Instagram demographics, I look and like I see like 7% of our audience is based in Armenia, and that's our second largest after the U.S. The U.S. was at like 68%. And I knew as a freight broker that there's a lot of Armenians from Glendale, California. They're always
Yeah.
calling on loads, and I was just always told by my manager, never book any
Yeah. The
Armenians.
double brokers, of
Exactly, the
course.
double brokers from
Of
Glendale.
course.
And no offense to like Armenians, one of my best friends in high school was Armenian. Like they're very hospitable people, they're good people, but like they're from a poorer country and they resort to just
Yeah.
unethical things in the logistics industry, and they've tarnished the industry in many ways. But like at this time, this was November 20, market was still, or 2021, when the market was super hot, and so they didn't do a lot of like the scamming or like the defrauding. Right now, like back then, it was just double brokering, clear. I make a cut. I still
Yep.
pay the carrier, right? And then it got really bad when the market turned. It started, or a lot of, it's just not Armenians. There's a lot of organized crime in this industry that are just really destroying, the livelihoods of a lot of people and like stealing money, stealing freight, etc. But whatever. This was 2021 November. I'm like, hey, me and my friend Tom, my best friend, he's also in logistics world, and then Derek, like our videographer. We're like, okay, we're gonna Armenia. And it was kind of funny because Derek worked at our restaurant as a delivery driver, but he also was making videos on the side for like our pizza and burgers. And I hadn't really known him like beforehand, but I was like, hey, Derek, do you want to fly to Armenia with me? And Derek had never been on an airplane before. And, he was super excited. He's like, yeah, of course, Paul. Like, yeah, like, let's go to Armenia. Like, I'm down. And so I bring Derek and Tom, and like on the way to the airport, I'm like, Derek, hey, listen, like, like I don't foresee us having any problems in Armenia. Like, it's like we're gonna be fine. I'm just giving you a heads up. Like, we're there to document, like double brokers. They kind of do kind of some shady stuff. Just a heads up. And like Derek's like kind of confused, but he's like, okay, like all right. Like he's 20 years old. He thought we're just gonna do like a video in Armenia, nothing crazy. And so like we go to Armenia, we get picked up by double brokers at like 4 a.m. We landed at 4 a.m. It's like pitch dark November.
How did you meet these guys? I'm sorry.
Oh, they DM'd me on Instagram. When I posted on Instagram when Armenia, like I had all my DMs were flooded with like Armenians and
with
stuff.
the double brokers from Armenia.
Yeah, exactly. The double brokers from
crazy.
Armenia.
Wow.
Yeah. And like at 4 a.m., they just finished their shift. They picked us up from the airport. They drove us to the hotel. Super great guys, Stefan and like Anthony, or I forgot their names, but I think it was Stefan and Anthony. But yeah, so they drive us to their hotel, and the next day, I post on my Instagram stories like, hey, like I'm in Armenia. And like my DMs get flooded once I posted that I'm actually in Armenia. And I'm looking at my DMs. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna select one and I'm gonna hit him up because like I couldn't reply to all these people. So
Yeah, of course.
I hit up this one guy, and this guy's like, hey, let's go get a coffee. I'll bring my friend. We could talk about logistics and all this stuff. And it's me, Derek, Tom, and these two double brokers, and we sit down, and like they didn't want us to like film any of the content yet. They were they're kind of shy. They're like, hey, they were good guys. You could tell they're good guys. Like you know, like one of them, like their brother or cousin died in the war with Azerbaijan a year ago. Like they were both like soldiers in the war. Like they're saying their mom like makes $400 a month. Like, you know, this is the only job they have. Like where they're making $800 a month. Like for them, that's like really good money. And they're not scamming anyone. You know, they're just double brokering, clean and easy. And we spent like 3 hours with them. Then after 3 hours, they had to go to the office, and they're like, you know what? Like, we like you guys. We'll show you the office. You know, like they didn't want to earlier, but so we go to the office, which is like this old Soviet building. It's literally a university. It's a university, and there's like they rent a room in this old Soviet university. And we walk in, and just like it looks like a double brokering office, but it looks like a logistics office from like a third world country. And there's like 6 dudes all of our age, you know, and we're hanging out. Like someone rolls up a joint, they bring some beer, they bring some dried like fish snacks because it's popular there, and like, you know, we're all hanging out. Like we have like golden content. Like they're telling us everything about how, like, who they work with, how they post the loads. They have 0 freight cards.
Yeah.
And you know, we smoke the joint, we drink some beer, and like, and I'm there, and I'm like thinking like, damn, like I gotta go on Instagram Live. This is like, you know, something I shouldn't have done, but I'm like thinking like I need to show like American people like how a double brokering office looks like right now. And I go live on Instagram for like 5 minutes, and we had 250 people watching it live. Back then it was like, damn, 250 people watching, this is sick. I turn it off, and all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, literally it's like 5 minutes, 6 Armenian like mobsters just fucking stormed the building, and they're like literally like everyone's like shocked. They're yelling. They start beating up the guy that invited us. They take all of our cameras, they take all of our phones, and it's
Holy
just
shit.
like really bad. And I'm like there, you know, like stoned, like a little bit, like you know, drink a couple of beers. I'm like, you know, I'm like, all right, like I know they're not gonna hurt me. Like if they hurt me, they're idiots because like, hey, I'm an American citizen. Like they're screwed. Yeah. They're screwed. You know, like so like I'm like,
wow,
but
holy
like
crap.
But I know at the same time like this isn't good, right? And so like after 20 minutes or so, it kind of calms down. They give me my phone. They're like, delete all your memes making fun of like Armenian double brokers. I had a lot of memes making fun of Armenian double brokers. Delete all of them.
So delete the whole content.
I had to literally,
Holy
I was
shit.
like, this guy is staring at me. I delete. They take all of our content. We literally probably filmed the best. I'm so sad because like we were chilling in his double brokering office. This guy was telling us everything they do, how they do it. You know, it's like out of Vice. I'm not sure if you know Vice, like the media network, but like it's like a Vice style kind of like, you know, real exposure into that world. And it all like kind of like got destroyed. But then they ended up taking us to like the Moscow Cafe, which is like in like so like
the guys that came to beat you up took you to the cafe.
Yeah, they calmed down because then they realized, okay, like they want to work with us in some kind of way.
So did they run the show where those guys that jumped in, like they own the office or they are friends of them? Like who were these guys?
And then they this is organized crime, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And so like they own a lot of offices. They just have, they're there to make money. You could tell they have money. Like one of the guys' watch was like, I think a 200K watch. Like it was just like blatantly shown to like, you know, like, hey, like this is money. This is also organized.
We're watching you, yeah.
Yeah, we're watching you. Like, hey, like this isn't like some like making memes kind of bullshit, you know, like that. I was like kind of like, you know, giggly trying to make some content. Like they weren't all about that. But you know, it's funny because like they drive us. They like, I get in the car, and in the back seat is a bag of passports, right? Just a bag of passports, and I'm like, and the guy's like, let me take that out of the way, you know. I'm like thinking to myself, why the hell does he need a bag? Like, what is he doing with a bag of passports? But whatever, not important. We ended up talking to them for like 3 hours at the Moscow Cafe, which is in Yerevan, Armenia. It's like the cafe that's like open, or it's like next to the Moscow Theater. Sorry, it's like the theater that's the cafe that's open 24 hours a day. We were there till like 3 a.m. And they kind of were like, yeah, we want you guys to like show us in a good light, you know, because like, you keep tarnishing our image and stuff like that. And I'm like, and they're like, yeah, we're not scamming anyone. We're legit double brokers. We're paying it out. And like we ended up, you know, just like kind of like leaving that. And we were like, shit, should we just leave the country? This was like the first 24 hours of our trip, out of our 3-day trip. And we were thinking about leaving the country like right away because we were kind of afraid. But we ended up staying, and we had a good time for the rest of the trip. Although, like 2 days later, I'm like walking in Yerevan, and a dude in a G-Wagon, like, you know, like super nice black G-Wagon, just opens his window, stares at me, smirks, and then closes his window. Like I'm like, oh man, like this is
man. You're under the radar now. That's insane. Yeah. What a story.
Yeah, so that's what comes to mind when I think of think I gotta go back out there, but I gotta go more undercover. Although the thing is, like, people recognize me because people know me, like, just from FreightCaviar now. That if I went out there, I'd probably hire a bodyguard and like probably like wear like a hat and like I'm so tall too. I'm 6'8", so I stick out like a sore
That's
thumb. You know, like people will probably recognize me even if I have a hat and sunshades on. Like just yeah, it is what it is.
since you brought, yeah, obviously since we're on the topic of double brokering and I guess fraud, um what's going on with fraud in the industry? There's a lot. I mean, a couple of the businesses that I consult for in the trucking side have been hit by fraud. There's been, obviously so many other big companies right now. Actually, I just read that Trinity Logistics, has been sort of infiltrated on DAT. A lot of their loads. There's many copycats and,
Yeah.
double brokers, whatever you want to call them, obviously on a much larger scale. Highway, right, for the
Yeah.
setup packets and all that stuff is taking a big jump at that. What's going on with fraud in the industry, and ultimately what's being done about it? I'm sure a lot of people want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean it's completely out of hand right now. Like it's continuously progressing. You know, like fraudsters, scammers kind of realized like I mean it existed before the pandemic. It existed, but it was mostly double brokering. You know,
Yeah,
you weren't dealing with freight theft. You weren't dealing with like someone impersonating your company. You were just dealing with double brokers. Like that's it.
generous fraud, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, and then they like a lot of brokers turn a blind
Yeah,
eye to it anyway. It's like, hey, if you deliver my load, I don't care who you
yeah,
hire, what you do with the load, whatever, just get it delivered. And so it's been progressing and it's been progressing at a speed that is really difficult. It's just super difficult to catch up to because there's so much money involved to where like, you know, and it's just so much digital. A lot of this stuff is digital. So we have people from outside of the US that are involved from various countries. I think recently Highway posted like their Q3 cargo theft fraud update, and they listed
yep,
Pakistan, I think India and Serbia as being like three countries where a lot of fraud is coming out of. They're detecting. So these are countries that are, you know, probably organized crime, and they're infiltrating the U.S. network just because the U.S. logistics network has the most money in the world that could be infiltrated. I'm sure China doesn't deal with this kind of problem because they're a communist country that has everything locked down. One of the few pros of being a communist country is that you're not dealing with cargo fraud and theft. At least, I don't believe they are. Maybe they are. I don't even know.
yeah. Bigger problems over there.
But yeah, exactly. They're dealing with they don't have any freedom there. So, but not speaking about China now, going back to the U.S., I think it's just every day is. It seems like hackers and scammers are finding new ways to infiltrate and impersonate or steal freight, and it's so out of hand right now. Where I think like government interference is just necessary.
Yeah,
We need the police to do more about cargo theft. I feel like they don't do anything. Like if you call a police officer, like, hey, this truck stole my freight, like, what are they supposed to do? Like a lot of times police officers don't really do anything. It's like, oh, call the FBI,
yeah,
or you know, it's like, or especially if it's like, it's if it's like crossing state borders, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, police just have jurisdiction in a specific region. So it's like, it's difficult. I think obviously Highway does a great job, but at the same time, like, you know, people are still like, there's so many people behind like scamming and defrauding people, and there's so much money behind it that it's difficult to catch up to. And but you know, you look at Highway, they're definitely a leader at it. There's another company called Genlogs. Genlogs is installing cameras on the interstate all across the U.S., and they're just taking photos of every truck. They're taking photos of like the MC license plate, and they've helped a lot
wow,
of yeah. So like if any of your clients have like a trailer or a truck that got stolen, reach out to them immediately and see if they were able to detect it on the interstate, because they've been helping a lot of like cases with like cargo theft or like trailer theft, truck theft, to like identify where it is.
so if somebody wants to use that, what is it, like a subscription model, or you call them and you pay them a fee for
So
finding it? Like, how does that even? Where do they
no,
make
like
their money?
they actually make their money. Their customers are brokers. Brokers
Okay,
buy their technology to understand, first of
got it.
all, a carrier's like where does a carrier go, and they also
Yep,
sell a lot more. They sell a lot of data. I'm almost like 100% certain. Like if a carrier reaches out, it's all free because they're just helping them
interesting.
out. Like
Yeah,
they don't make money off of carriers, from my
right,
understanding.
right. Okay, interesting, man. I want to ask you just in general about obviously your entrepreneurship journey. Any advice, anything for, guys that are now starting, their own version of Freight Caviar or a brokerage or
Yeah.
whatever it may be in the industry or any industry. What advice do you have? I mean, obviously, we're both still young and have seen a short amount of life, especially in the business world, but a lot in such a short amount of time. What advice do you give entrepreneurs?
So for me, I think one of the main reasons I'm here where I'm at right now in life, and I'm still like far away from being where I want to be, and also like I'm not like I am mildly successful. I'm not like very successful. Like I've been able to take a meme page and turn it out into a print magazine, and we are doing some exciting stuff. But I think that I want everyone to know that first of all, like I drive a Toyota CHR, like I live with my grandma in Poland, like I fly economy, like I don't like, like I'm not like someone that's like balling out. I'm not someone that's making a ton of money yet. Like our company's doing well and it's prospering, and at the same time, I'm not a very materialistic guy. So like even if I did have a lot of money, I'd probably just buy like a nicer Toyota. Or like but and I'd probably maybe upgrade to premium economy. But whatever. Like I'm not like an ultra successful guy. But what I do have that that makes my life super exciting is, first of all, I choose what I want to work on, when I want to work on it, how I want to work on it, with who I want to work on it.
That's
I
huge.
I
Yeah.
decide when I go to sleep, when I wake up. I don't have an alarm clock. I wake up naturally. I am like, if I want to go somewhere, I go there. If I want to do something, I do it. Immense freedom. Like I love my life. And honestly, like I think a lot of people sometimes like they do stuff they hate just to make money, and then they spend it on like lavish things because they have to make up for the fact that their life sucks most of the time. My life is awesome almost all the time. I honestly don't, my life's amazing all the time, to where like I don't need anything materialistic because like I'm good. And I also don't have like a materialistic like mindset. Like my life's great. Like I don't need to make up, like and when I was a broker, my life sucked and I made good money and I would just spend it on like a bunch of stuff. Well, not maybe a bunch of stuff, but like I would have to make up for it because I'm like, oh, I have to like get away from all this toxic bullshit. So I'm gonna go and like yeah. But at the same time, like my lifestyle is still really like my lifestyle is probably better than it was back then. But I think the main advice though, like for me, has been just to like to take risks. I left a cozy job that paid well, apartment paid for, taxis paid for. I was just saving money, and it just wasn't right for me. I felt it like like, and also like my philosophy in life is like, hey, like we have one life. Like we're all gonna be dead soon. Like we're all gonna be in a graveyard. Like make the most of it.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
I can't.
motivator.
Yeah,
100%.
I can't imagine working for some company, and like that's why like I don't see like quitting a job as a risk. I see it as an opportunity to actually live life to the fullest. And people, I think most people, and like it's actually crazy. Like I sometimes realize this, where I'm like, people's view of on life is so different than mine, because like I'm like, yo, like, and right now, to be fair, I don't have a kid. I'm not married, so like I'm still like at my peak of risk taking. Yeah, like once I have a kid, I'm settled down. Like I know that my ability to take risks will obviously like lessen, and like that makes complete sense. So that's why like, if you're single or if you're young and if you don't have a kid, take as many risks as you can right now, because you're gonna be
Yeah,
able to get yourself out of it, and
absolutely.
you're gonna learn so much, so much. So like just take a ton of risks and do what excites you. And that's honestly like I think the formula for doing anything that's great in life. Because like if it doesn't excite you, you're not gonna do it for long enough. And if you're not gonna do it for long enough, you're not gonna be able to reap the benefits of whatever you create. But if you're excited, you're gonna do it for a long time, and you're gonna do it even if it's not making money, and then you're gonna be happy doing it. And eventually you're gonna come down and you're gonna create something that's amazing. I think that's the formula for success.
So what excites you outside of Freight Caviar? I mean, what do you do for fun? Do you play any sports? Obviously, you travel a lot, which I'm
Yeah.
sure, that's fun. But what do you do in Poland outside of Freight Caviar?
Man, and it's funny. Ever since I got this office, all I've been doing is working, and all work has been super excited. Before then, I bike a lot. I biked a lot during the summertime. I exercise. I haven't exercised in a while though. I like going on long walks. I like reading. I like meditating. I like going to the theater. I like going to the museum. I like kind of just taking like I haven't had a chill moment. You could probably hear from the fact that I'm just talking so fast. Like this is me completely natural, by the
No,
way.
I love it. I mean,
This is
yeah,
that. Like I had one coffee today at noon, and the thing is like it's 7 p.m. right now where I'm at. Like I didn't need the coffee because of energy. I just drank the coffee because I like to drink coffee in the morning, or
it
like
tastes good, of
it just
course.
it's just part of like, I don't know, like my ritual is like I sit down and have a coffee, but like I don't need coffee. Like especially lately, I'm fucking wired all the time. I'm sorry for swearing. I don't know if I should be swearing on this. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean,
uh,
it's part of it. Listen, I want to show the truth, right? I don't want some BS. And so do what you feel is right.
yeah. But what was the question, Daniel? I might have. I don't know if I
That's
answered it
it.
or
We're
not.
we're ending this thing here.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, what do you do for fun? I mean, you kind of
My friend,
answered.
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah. I
you ride
travel.
bikes. Yeah.
I travel. I like spending time with my grandma. She's an angel and she's awesome. So I just like to cherish moments with her because I know,
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
absolutely. God bless, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
If I could go back and, most of my grandparents and everyone passed away years ago. So if I could go back, yeah, I was just visiting with my parents and we were talking about that. You always appreciate a lot of these moments, especially with elders, way after they're gone, which is obviously part of life. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you? Where should they
Sure.
follow Freight Caviar? How can they get involved with you? What do you say about that?
Definitely. So LinkedIn, X, Instagram, you can follow the domain FreightCaviar. You can also send me a connection on LinkedIn, Paul Bernard Jaroslawski. And then to email me, PBJ, so my initials at freightcaviar.com. And I think that's the best way.
Yeah, no, I'll put in the comments and I'll put it everywhere where this podcast is gonna go. Definitely need a part two, I would say 100%. I mean, you're a world of knowledge and I know you've got to go, but I really appreciate it. I enjoyed hearing all the stories and obviously all the wealth of knowledge. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Likewise, Daniel. Thanks for having me.